He had an impeachable thought. He thought of something that was impeachable. He had a thought crime. Oh my God, remove Trump from office now. Yeah, just as was perfectly expected over the weekend, the New York Times pulled, surprise, surprise, another Kavanaugh in the form of a story where Bolton, in his upcoming book, said that Trump preferred an investigation in Ukraine. Well, you know what? I hope he did prefer an investigation in Ukraine, because we were giving them hundreds of millions of dollars. Hopefully we don't waste it in corruption. That was a very, very good thought to have. And newsflash, everybody, Ukraine got the money. And by the way, this was aid, was lethal aid. They got Javelin anti-tank weapons, which, guess what? The Obama administration never gave to Ukraine. The closest to being a lethal weapon that the Obama administration gave to Ukraine was blankets, you know. And by the way, if having a thought is an impeachable offense, what was it when Obama sent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on a pallet directly to the mullahs in Iran without congressional approval? I mean, let's have some sense of balance here, New York Times. So let's look at just how weak and ridiculous their attempt to Kavanaugh the impeachment process is. All right, here we are at the New York Times story from Sunday, and their attempt to extend this impeachment for weeks, for months, for one reason only: to harm Donald Trump. We all know that he won't be convicted as removed from office. It's not going to happen. No way, no how. But all they have left right now is to extend it, just to harm him, just to keep it going. So here we go. This is Trump tied Ukraine aid to inquiries he sought. Bolton book says. Well, basically, we're talking about a thought crime here. We'll see. By Maggie Haberman and Michael S. Schmidt. And it says, President Trump told his national security advisor in August he wanted to continue freezing $391 million in security assistance to Ukraine until officials there helped with investigations into Democrats, including the Bidens, according to an unpublished manuscript by former advisor John R. Bolton. He wanted, you know what? Guess what? The Ukraine got the security assistance. He wanted. This is all this is about. Just another attempt to extend this. So, we have to talk to Bolton. Well, what's Bolton going to do? He's going to say, he wanted to? That's not wanting. That's a thought, an impeachable offense. So here we go, and it goes into details, and it's just basically. And by the way, how convenient, how so very convenient that the New York Times is releasing this now, just as the White House defense team is making their case, and in a few days they're going to vote as to whether there should be witnesses. By the way, I notice now that some liberals are begging John Roberts to rule that there must be witnesses. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Roberts sort of wants to avoid any interference in this. Just let the Senate do its job. Now I'm going to show you one other thing here. Another keyword, because we have all these details, but really what it comes down to is that it's a thought. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, here we go. In his August 2019 discussion with Mr. Bolton, the president appeared focused on the theories Mr. Giuliani had shared with him, replying to Mr. Bolton's question that he Key word here, he preferred sending no assistance to Ukraine until officials had turned over all materials they had about the Russia investigation related to Mr. Biden and supporters of Mrs. Clinton in Ukraine. He preferred it. You know what? I'm glad we have a president that just doesn't blindly turn over aid money without, and Ukraine has had a reputation for being incredibly corrupt. Luckily, President Zelensky appears to be a very honest person. So we don't have that fear anymore. But, the President Trump was right to be worried about, why would we want to give money to any country, not just Ukraine, without worrying about whether it's going to be empty into corruption? No, we give a lot of money and aid to these third world countries, and it ends up, for building up parts of the presidential palace. It doesn't really go to what it's supposed to. So thank God we have a president who wants that. But that's all this is. This whole thing, bottom line, having a thought is not an impeachable offense. And this is all about just one thing, extending this phony impeachment for weeks, for months, for only one reason, and one reason only, is to harm President Trump. Just remember, nobody at the New York Times is anything close to being a Trump supporter. Even our so-called conservatives, like David Brooks or Brett Stevens or the mini-me. Who's Brooks's mini-me? Oh, yeah, Ross Douthat, whatever his name is. They're all anti-Trump. They have to be. You can't even be a conservative at the New York Times without being anti-Trump. So that's what this is all about. It's just to harm Trump. Oh, because he had a thought crime. It was an impeachable thought crime. The reason why we know that impeachment that's being pushed by the mainstream media is so incredibly phony is, remember, they've been pushing for impeachment from the moment Donald Trump was elected president. In the New York Times, David Brooks, a few days after the election, I think it was November 11th, 3 days after the election, he was saying that Trump would probably be removed by impeachment within a year. And then the Washington Post, on the very day that Trump was inaugurated as president, January 20th, 2017, they had a big story about the possibility of, guess what? Impeaching Trump. First, they wanted to impeach him. It doesn't make any difference. We're just making up stuff. First, they came up with the emoluments clause. That went nowhere. Then it was, remember, 2 years of Trump-Russia collusion. It was pushed by the media, and it was absolute fact, Jack. Well, guess what? Last year, in the Mueller report showed no Trump-Russia collusion. After all that time and effort investigated, it turned out to be just a wild conspiracy theory that was completely untrue. So what to do? Oh, there was a phone call. Of course, they made a big deal about it, but Trump released the transcript. And I even, if you remember earlier on this Dummy Funnies channel, I showed you how, on this CBS This Morning, they said there was no there as far as any impeachable offense. But that didn't stop them. First, they try to go with quid pro quo. So they test marketed it with audiences, with groups, and it was too Latin, quid pro quo. What the hell does that mean? So then they went, okay, we'll try bribery. That didn't pan out either. So that now they're stuck with this, whatever it is, some vague impeachable offense that Trump, he had impeachable thoughts. As we saw just now, impeachable thoughts. So that's it. Bottom line is, this whole latest effort by the Times is just to extend for weeks, for months, this phony impeachment, just to keep it going. And I hope the Republican senators have more sense than their thankfully former colleague Jeff Flake with that look on his elevator. I'm sure they're going to try to shame them into voting for witnesses, but please don't fall for it. We'll see. So, see you guys later.